Mexico usually traditionally gets power from our coal burning stuff. So it's sent all across the region, but they want to clamp it down because of their ambitious, as it says here in this Austin American Statesman article, their ambitious plan to curb the contribution to global climate change. Now, what is that ambitious plan? I've got one form of it right here. It's a document published in January 2010, Resource and Climate Protection Plan through the year 2020, and its recommendations specifically for Austin Energy right here in Austin, Texas. But I'm sure this is going on everywhere. But you go through, and they've got a graph about how, as of 2009, coal is a full third of our energy here in Austin. Nuclear does a quarter, wind does 12%, natural gas together does almost 30% of power as well. But by 2020, they want to shift coal down to 23%, wind to 26%, and on and on. This is the graph right here of the carbon cuts they wanted under Waxman-Markey. That was the federal carbon scheme legislation where you were going to pay taxes to Al Gore. He's going to become a carbon billionaire, as the articles noted. Goldman Sachs will trade the carbon credits and they will make a fortune, but you will do with less. You will pay more for less while the big companies get rich. Now, here's the curve right here for Waxman-Markey. This legislation didn't pass because, thank God, there was a resistance to it. But Obama didn't stop there. He used the EPA through executive orders, through policy in the White House Department branch to impose it upon the whole country anyway. And you've got Lisa Jackson at EPA, who's tied to Goldman Sachs, of course, imposing this. But look, one second, Dew. Look at this curve. This is Austin's plan through 2020 to do probably double the carbon cuts. They want an even more outrageous carbon cutting plan than the actual federal Waxman-Markey legislation would have put in. That's what they're doing in Austin. That's why they're cutting coal.
And this is an issue that is nationwide. It's not just here to us. It's not just regulated.
But they're starting in Texas because it's one of the big strongholds of coal.
It is, but you can look anywhere. All you have to do is type coal plant shut down. We covered 8 stories just in different regions happening this year. That's just not even, we're 8 months into the year right now of coal plants all over the country that are being shut down. They're being mothballed. Their contracts are not getting renewed. And this is a big attack on coal, and it has to do with...
It's a plan to bankrupt coal on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's a plan to bankrupt individuals driving up power. Now, Alex is coming up on the other side of the break, but I want to point this out. I saw the documentary. You can watch it too. Enron, the smartest guys in the room. Enron, the smartest guys in the room. Enron, those are a bunch of criminals, right? You know what they did that they have on tape? They have the actual audio tapes in California. Enron ran their own power scam where they artificially shut down power plants so they could drive up the prices more than 3-fold, 50-fold in some cases, all to suck it out of some little old lady's bank account. They're going to keep doing that. That's what Obama's doing through the EPA and those policies. They want your pocketbook. They want you to do more with less. Alex Jones on the other side. This is an attack on America. We're going to break it down. Stay tuned. Infowars.com. So on the other side of the break, we tried to break down how coal is this captured market thing. They capture the market, and they tell you what you're allowed to buy and how much you're going to pay, and you're going to pay more. Alex is here to give his take on it. I won't mince any words. He's got other important issues, too. Alex, are you there?
Yes, sir. Obviously, later in the week, I'm going to get more into the energy takeover because now it's happening, and I'll cover some of that in a moment. But at Infowars.com, Paul Watson has articles and video where multiple witnesses now are talking about 4 gunmen in black shooting people, similar to what we saw at Columbine. That was in the Rocky Mountain News and Denver Post. We see this over and over again. Now, I want to explain something. If the criminals that have hijacked our government, the organized crime syndicate, would stage Fast and Furious that's killed thousands conservatively to blame the Second Amendment, they will stage mass shootings or have mentally ill people they profiled under government psychiatrist care, like the Joker shooter at the Batman event. And I remember I predicted that. I said, watch, he'll be under a former top PSYOP person. This woman was the head of the Air Force program, had been cited for being part of weird experiments and drugging. It's the same MO over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. The Mumbai attacks in India. It was in the local Indian papers. The head of Indian intelligence said it was Western run. Turn CIA ran it, landed on boats, a bunch of guys on PCP and LSD who weren't even Muslims, who all got killed or committed suicide, and the video shows them whacked out of their minds. I knew instantly they were mind controlled. Ladies and gentlemen, they admit, it's mainstream news, look it up, that there is a CIA base within Camp X-Ray in Guantanamo Bay where they admittedly engage in, quote, mind control. That's even Time Magazine. They had this stuff perfected in the 1950s without microchips. The point is they've got 5 bills that actually ban online ammo sale, ban the owning, the holding of all semi-autos, all mags over 10 rounds or guns that can take the clips. Now Obama says he's going to sign an executive order on everything in the Cybersecurity Act, which they admit is an internet takeover, and had a gun ban in it. Ladies and gentlemen, I've asked Paul Watson to add to his latest article that's at Infowars.com right now that's so key for everybody to retweet and get out to everybody. Eyewitness, 4-man team behind Sikh temple shooting. I'm having Watson add links to not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 White House advisors in the last 2 years. Even in the Financial Times of London, Robert Shapiro said, barring a new Oklahoma City or 9/11, where he can reach out to the public and look like a hero, he's not going to win. Then we have their internal fundraising memos that came out, where they said, don't worry, to their $1 million donors, don't worry how bad the polls look. All we've got to do is have a new terror bombing or mass shooting, and we're going to blame it on the Republicans. Now, again, I'm not even a Republican. The point is they said this. Even Glenn Beck, in one of his last Fox broadcasts, said they're getting ready to blame people like himself, myself, and others with it. We played that clip before. Even Michael Savage has said this. The point is, I had Larry Pratt on last week, the second biggest gun group in the country. He said, yes, we have to look at this as an inside job. The point is, this may, one chance out of maybe 20, dead reckoning here, may have been right-wing establishment lunatics that did this, probably being led by a federal informant if we follow the MO. There is a slight chance of that, and I'll tell you why. I even knew somebody from high school after 9/11 beat up a Sikh at a gas station because they were so stupid. A, they think it was a Muslim and that all Muslims were involved, but B, thinking people wearing turbans are Muslims when most Muslims don't wear turbans. It's the bright turbans of the Sikhs, who, by the way, are in constant wars with the Muslims in India. It's a completely opposite group, and are generally pro-West. The point is, it could have been hopped-up maniacs profiling it, white supremacist types, on methamphetamine, led and commanded by an FBI informant. Now, I know this so well, folks. 6 months before Hatari got set up in Michigan, put out a video saying they're run by feds out of 2,000-plus militia groups. They're about to be set up. I just know when I see it how it's operating. Probably totally staged, but they will still have to have patsies. I'm profiling it as right-wing white supremacists led by FBI or maybe even above that CIA handlers. I fingered Hal Turner 10 years ago as a top FBI national security asset. It came out last year in federal court. So, again, I know what I'm talking about. I eat, drink, and sleep this 24/7, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, when I take off a few days from the office, I work even harder because then I'm kind of out of the regular office decisions and, buying trash bags or coffee or dealing with, bills and things like that, and I'm just immersed in the info. And I'm telling you, look at the season of this when they've got all these anti-Second Amendment pieces of legislation. Now, we'll be covering this all tomorrow. Mike Adams is going to be in studio, but don't worry. I'm going to make sure Paul Watson's in there with info. I'm going to make sure Aaron Dykes rotates in every other segment for a few minutes for the latest info. I'm going to be calling in. I may even come in. I'm taking care of a bunch of stuff here at home right now, but the point is, this is big, so the weekday show, 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, it kicks off tomorrow. Now, here's the bottom line. I was coming home Friday night at about 9:30, and I walked into the gas station to buy a lime Topo Chico, and it was like being punched in the stomach. I knew this was coming, but I shot a video that night, wrote a story about it. It's up at Infowars.com. Because it made me so angry to know that it's actually happening. Remember last year, the Austin Energy Commission, Austin Energy came out and said, we've already doubled your prices the last decade. They're going to double or more again. And the announcements have been made. Everybody sees it in their power. It's happening in other areas of the country as well. And this will affect everybody because Texas supplies 5 states. Those states supply supply of surrounding states. It's how the grid works. We have to buy our power now, a lot of it from Mexico, who does have dirty burning coal. The new coal is very clean. Only water vapor and carbon dioxide comes out. Lee Leffingwell, our globalist mayor, says he will not allow a referendum for the scum of Austin that he rules. But he acts trendy and wears a suit, so it's okay. And he is announcing that they've already shut down 2 of our power plants and massively increased our prices. We own a third of a giant Fayetteville complex. It's 3 power plants. We own one of them. They're shutting it down. I said in the video it supplies 33%. That was the Statesman. I have estimates from the Texas Energy Commission that sometimes it supplies 50+%. Now, a foreign army couldn't do this. The city council is going to sell to insiders for pennies on the dollar. This is how globalism, insider crony capitalism works. Monopoly, anti-free market, garbage. They are going to sell it. You can go look it up. It's a Statesman even admits it, but is very proud of it, our local traitorous paper. And they say that they're going to sell it off, and they're going to sell it off to a globalist company that's going to mothball it. And then down the road, we might get some windmills, which they admit bankrupted Spain and don't work and are giant scams and kill the birds. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, in your face, and the Statesman reported it, on Friday, council eyes coal plant sale. When you read it, the Austin City Council took the first step Thursday towards selling the city's share of a coal-fueled power plant that provides a third of Austin's electricity. Try 50% at peak times. And now they're telling us get ready for power outages. And Aaron, you drove the nail through the board when you said Enron. Enron would made up to $3 billion a day in 99, 2000 in California and on the West Coast. They would artificially cut the power. This is all came out in court because they said if we cut power, people will think of it as scarce. We can charge up to 20 times more during these peak periods. They developed the smart meters that are only now going in after, Ken Lay's been long gone. This is a total takeover. Folks, the only way to rob a bank isn't just rob a bank. If you can go in with the complexity of this stuff and shut down power plants that aren't part of the insiders, the insider power plants make huge profits. Now their competition is shut down. They sell a lot less power for a lot more. It hits low-income people the worst. It is a robbery of every person in Central Texas and every person nationwide. It is diabolical, but because the traitorous media is owned by these offshore banks that are doing all this, Bilderberg 4 years ago, as you know, Perry was there, and they discussed how they were going to do this. That all came out. They are so traitorous that no one will tell the people, no one will warn them, no one will stop them. So look out. They're also talking about the same, criminal groups that took all the land in the 90s and then turned around and built on it, claiming it was for the environment. Those same groups are going to start snatching more land. They want to raise your property taxes. They want to bankrupt you. They want to drive you into submission. This is an organized crime takeover, ladies and gentlemen, and anything is possible with these people because we're asleep at the switch. We better come together. The only reason we have freedom in America is because our forebears would fight for it and wouldn't be slaves. America isn't perfect, but it's been the best country ever because our forebears fought for their private property, and that's why we've been so rich. But now the collectivists are taking over, and it's not because they care about the little guy. God bless you, men. We'll be back on the radio tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central.
That's Alex Jones. He's talking about a literal monopoly of power. The end game is North Korea, where you might get 2 hours a day if there's a state parade. We can't let that happen in America. We'll be back. Infowars.com. Rebroadcast starts there. And we're going to have a lot more.